Taraji watched the vase explode against the floor, porcelain shards skittering across imported Italian tile like tiny white knives. Her hands were still wet from scrubbing the bathroom upstairs. Storm rain hammered the Brooklyn brownstone's windows, turning the morning into something that felt like drowning. "Pick it up," Lucia said from the balcony doorway, arms crossed, red lipstick perfect even at 7 a.m. with your bare hands. "I want to see you appreciate what things cost." Taraji's suitcase still sat by the iron gates outside. She'd arrived 20 minutes ago. The job posting had said household coordinator. Nobody mentioned the word servant. Nobody mentioned Lucia. She didn't know that the house she cleaned that day was built on the blood of her own family. Taraji knelt. The marble was cold against her knees. A shard bit into her palm and she didn't flinch. Couldn't. Not with Lucia watching like a hawk studying prey. Not with her mother's text still burning in her pocket. Chemo pushed to Thursday. Need $4,000 by Monday. I love you, baby. $4,000. 3 days. This job paid weekly. Taraji picked up porcelain piece by piece, blood mixing with the water still dripping from her fingers. "You missed one," Lucia said, pointing with a manicured nail. "There. By your knee." Before we continue, a quick shout out to Desha Lestova. Thank you for your support and engagement on the channel. And if you're all loving this story already, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling us what you think will happen next. Your support keeps these stories coming. The brownstone smelled like old money and fresh espresso. Taraji had scrubbed 3 bathrooms, polished 2 staircases, and reorganized a wine cellar that probably cost more than her entire childhood home in Detroit. The servant quarters were barely larger than a closet. A twin bed. A lamp. A window that looked directly at a brick wall. She sat on the edge of the bed, phone pressed to her ear. "Mama, I got the job." "Oh, thank God. Thank God, baby." Her mother's voice cracked with relief. "How is it? They treating you right?" Taraji looked at the band-aid on her palm. At the uniform Lucia had thrown at her, 2 sizes too small. At the list of rules taped to the door, no visitors. No calls during work hours. No using the front entrance. No speaking unless spoken to. "It's fine, Mama. It's good." "You're lying." "I'm surviving." Her mother was quiet for a moment. Then, "Your Uncle Daniel used to say that." Right before he disappeared. Taraji closed her eyes. Uncle Daniel. The family ghost. The brilliant man who'd worked New York ports in the 90s, who'd sent money home every month until the money stopped, until he stopped, until even the phone calls went silent. "I'm not disappearing, Mama. I promise." "You better not. I didn't raise a quitter. You raised a fighter." "Damn right I did." They hung up. Taraji stared at her reflection in the black phone screen. 26 years old. Civil engineering degree from Wayne State. Drowning in student loans and medical bills. Cleaning toilets for a woman who looked at her like dirt. But rent was due. Chemo was expensive. Pride was a luxury she couldn't afford. Downstairs, something crashed. Then shouting. Then more crashing. Taraji grabbed her cleaning supplies and ran. The private office was chaos. Papers everywhere. A desk lamp knocked sideways. And Elio Mocchetti standing in the center of it all, hands in his dark hair, looking like a man trying to strangle his own thoughts. "I apologize," he said to the overturned chair. "That was inappropriate of me." Then he saw Taraji in the doorway. Their eyes met. His were storm gray and exhausted and searching for something she couldn't name. Hers were probably terrified. "You're the new hire," he said. Not a question. "Yes, sir. I heard the noise. I thought. You thought someone was dying." He laughed, bitter and sharp. "Just my patience. It dies daily." He was younger than she expected. Maybe 32. Tall. Sharp suit despite the early hour. The kind of handsome that came with danger attached. Everyone in Detroit knew the Mocchetti name. Shipping empire. Harbor contracts. The kind of family that didn't ask permission for anything. "I'll clean this up," Taraji said quietly. "My sister put you in the servant quarters. It's fine. It's a closet. I've had smaller. Something flickered across his face. Respect maybe. Or pity. She wasn't sure which was worse. What's your name? Taraji Harris, sir. Stop calling me sir. It makes me feel like my father. He righted the chair with one hand. Where are you from? Detroit. Long way from home. Home doesn't pay for cancer treatment. The words came out before she could stop them. Raw. Honest. Stupid. But Elio just nodded like he understood. Like maybe he'd lost someone too. Work hard, he said. Ignore my sister. And if you need anything, he paused. Actually, don't ask me. Ask the house manager. I'm terrible at managing people. You run an entire shipping empire. Ships are easier than humans. They go where you point them. He left the office smelling like expensive cologne and exhaustion. Taraji cleaned up the papers. One caught her eye. A harbor contract from 1998. New York Port Authority. And at the bottom, a signature she'd seen before. Daniel Harris, Port Acquisition Consultant. Her uncle. Her hands started shaking. The days blurred together. Scrubbing. Polishing. Invisible. Lucia's friends came over on Tuesday. 6 women in designer dresses drinking champagne at 2 p.m., laughing about charity galas and vacation homes. Taraji served appetizers on silver trays, silent and efficient. This one's from Detroit, Lucia announced like Taraji was a museum exhibit. Diversity higher. Elio insisted. How progressive, one woman said, voice dripping with mockery. Detroit, another laughed. Isn't that city basically a charity case at this point? Taraji's grip tightened on the tray. The champagne flutes trembled. Careful, Lucia warned. Those glasses cost more than your education. They all laughed. Taraji set down the tray with perfect control and walked away with her head high. She made it to the kitchen before the tears came. Silent. Hot. Angry. She didn't hear Elio enter until he spoke. She does that to everyone. Taraji spun around, wiping her face quickly. I'm fine. You're not. And you shouldn't have to be. He leaned against the counter, loosened his tie. My sister is cruel because she's afraid. Afraid of what? That she's not special. That money can't buy meaning. That one day she'll be forgotten. He met her eyes. You threaten that because you're real. I'm just the maid. You're a civil engineer cleaning toilets to save your mother's life. That's not just anything. Taraji's breath caught. How did you? I read your application. Thoroughly. He pushed off the counter. I need an assistant for the harbor office. Someone smart. Someone who won't kiss my ass. Interested? Why me? Because you looked at those women and didn't throw champagne in their faces. That's professionalism I can't teach. Your sister will hate it. My sister hates everything that doesn't worship her. Taraji thought about the servant quarters. About $4,000. About her mother's laugh before cancer stole the strength from it. What's the pay? Triple what you're making now. She should have said yes immediately. But pride was a funny thing. Even broke pride had teeth. I don't want charity. It's not charity. It's capitalism. I need someone competent. You need money. Simple transaction. He pulled out his phone. Start Monday. Dress code is business casual. Don't be late. I didn't say yes. You didn't say no. He left the kitchen smelling like confidence and cologne. Taraji stood there breathing hard, heart racing, feeling like maybe the universe was finally throwing her a rope instead of a rock. Monday came with rain again. Taraji wore her only blazer and her best heels and walked into the harbor office like she owned it. Fake it till you make it. That's what her mother always said. The office was chaos. Phones ringing. Men in suits shouting about shipping delays and customs issues and container problems. Elio sat in the center of it like a conductor managing an orchestra of anger. Taraji, he called over the noise. Conference room. Now. She followed him into a glass-walled room overlooking the harbor. Gray water. Gray sky. Ships like sleeping giants. I need you to organize these. He dropped 3 massive file boxes on the table. Contracts, invoices, correspondence. Everything from 1995 to 2000. The company's transitioning to digital and it's a nightmare. Why so old? Legal audit. Someone's claiming we stole port contracts in the 90s. We need to prove otherwise. Taraji opened the first box. Papers everywhere. No organization. No system. Just chaos. And there, third file down, a photograph. Harbor office. 1998. 3 men in suits. One of them was her Uncle Daniel. The world tilted. You okay? Elio asked. Fine. Just dusty. She pocketed the photo when he wasn't looking. Her heart was a drum. Her hands were ice. What the hell was Uncle Daniel doing in Mochetti files? She worked through lunch. Through dinner. Through the moment the office emptied and it was just her and paperwork and ghosts. The files told a story. Port acquisitions. Contract negotiations. Daniel Harris consulted on 7 major deals. Then in March 1999, his name disappeared. Not gradually. Suddenly. Like someone erased him. The last document was a resignation letter. But the handwriting was wrong. Taraji knew her uncle's writing. He'd sent letters home every month. This wasn't his signature. Someone had forged his resignation. Finding anything interesting? She jumped. Elio stood in the doorway with 2 coffees. Just organizing, she said carefully. You've been here 9 hours. Go home. I'm fine. You're obsessive. I recognize it because I am too. He set a coffee in front of her. What did you find? Nothing. You're a terrible liar. She met his eyes. Saw something there. Curiosity maybe. Or concern. Definitely not the cruelty she'd expected from a man named Mochetti. My uncle worked for your family, she said quietly. In 1998. Daniel Harris. He disappeared in March 1999. Elio went very still. Disappeared how? Stopped calling. Stopped writing. His resignation letter appeared but nobody saw him again. And you think? I don't know what I think. But something's wrong with that signature. Elio took the document. Studied it. His jaw tightened. If you're right, he said slowly, this implicates my father. He ran the company then. Your father. Dead 5 years now. Heart attack. He set the paper down. But if he was involved in something illegal, it destroys everything we've rebuilt. Our reputation. Our contracts. Our family name. So I should stop looking. No. He met her eyes. You should find the truth. Whatever it is. Even if it destroys you. I'd rather be destroyed by truth than built on lies. They stood there in the glass-walled room, the harbor dark behind them, the weight of history pressing down like water. Why are you helping me? Taraji asked. Because you remind me that some people still believe in justice. He smiled, tired and real. And because my sister would hate it. Which makes it twice as appealing. She laughed despite everything. Outside, the storm was coming in again. If this story is giving you chills, drop a like right now and comment what you think happened to Daniel. We read every single one. Taraji spent the next week buried in files. Elio gave her access to everything. The private archives. The legal documents. The financial records that probably shouldn't exist anymore. She found patterns. Money transfers to offshore accounts in March 1999. Property sales the same month. And one name that appeared in every suspicious document, Vincent Mochetti. Elio's father. But nothing about what happened to Daniel. Thursday night, she was alone in the office when her phone rang. Baby, the chemo's done. The doctor says I'm in remission. Taraji dropped into a chair, tears instant and hot. Mama. I'm okay. I'm okay, baby. We're okay. They cried together across 800 miles. I'll come home soon, Taraji promised. Once I finish this job. No rush, honey. You got your own life to build. You are my life. I'm part of it. But you're supposed to be the whole story, not just the footnote helping me survive. Taraji smiled through tears. You been reading self-help books again? They give them out free in the chemo ward. Time to put that wisdom to use. They talked for an hour. About nothing. About everything. About the future that finally felt possible. When Taraji hung up, Elio was standing in the doorway. Good news, he asked. The best. Your mother. Remission. His smile was genuine. Warm. That's incredible. It is. She wiped her eyes. Thank you. For the job. For the money. For. Don't. He walked into the office. You earned every dollar. I should be thanking you. For what? For making me remember why I took over this company. It wasn't to be my father. It was to be better than him. He sat across from her. The city glowed behind him through the window. I found something, Taraji said. About March 1999. She showed him the pattern. The transfers. The sales. The timeline. Elio's face went from curious to grim to furious. He bought someone's silence, Elio said quietly. That's what this is. Someone found out something and my father paid them off. Or killed them. The words hung there like knives. Your uncle wasn't the only one who disappeared that month, Elio said. There were 3 others. Port workers. Union organizers. They were pushing for investigations into cargo safety. And your father had exclusive contracts worth millions. Contracts he'd lose if anyone looked too closely at what he was shipping. What was he shipping? I don't know. But I'm going to find out. They worked through the night. Coffee and documents and the slow, terrible realization that some empires were built on bones. At 4 a.m., they found it. A manifest from March 15, 1999. Unmarked cargo containers. Destination, offshore accounts. Contents, classified. And at the bottom, a handwritten note in Vincent Mocchetti's handwriting, DH handled. LM secured. Problem solved. DH Daniel Harris. LM. Lucia Mocchetti, Taraji whispered. Elio's face went white. No. What does secured mean? I don't know. But they both knew it wasn't good. Taraji confronted Lucia on Friday morning. She found her on the balcony, drinking mimosas at 10 a.m., looking like a queen in her castle. I need to talk to you. Lucia didn't even turn around. The help doesn't make demands. Your father knew my uncle. Daniel Harris. 1998. Now Lucia turned. Her face was ice. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes you do. Taraji pulled out the photograph. The one with Daniel and Vincent Mocchetti. This was taken at the harbor office. You were there. Lucia stared at the photo. Something flickered across her face. Fear maybe. Get out. Not until you tell me what happened to him. I said get out. Tell me. He was my father. Lucia screamed. The world stopped. Taraji stared at her. What? Daniel Harris was my biological father. Lucia's voice shook. My mother had an affair with him. Vincent found out. He made the problem disappear. Problem? Daniel wanted to go public. Wanted to claim me. Wanted to destroy Vincent's marriage and reputation. Lucia laughed, bitter and broken. So Vincent paid him off. Gave him $2 million to disappear forever. And Daniel took it. He took it and vanished. I was 11. I never saw him again. She met Taraji's eyes. Your uncle chose money over me. Chose silence over his daughter. So forgive me if I don't mourn the man who abandoned me. Taraji's mind raced. He sent money home. Every month. To Detroit. To his real family. His legitimate one. The one that mattered. You're his family too. I'm the secret he sold for $2 million. Lucia turned away, shoulders shaking. Taraji stood there feeling like the ground had opened beneath her feet. Everything she thought she knew about her uncle, about this family, about right and wrong, it was all complicated now. Messy. Human. He never stopped looking for you, Taraji said quietly. His letters home, he always asked about New York. Always said he had unfinished business. Then why didn't he come back? Maybe he was afraid Vincent would hurt you. Maybe he thought staying away kept you safe. Or maybe he just didn't care enough. Or maybe, Elio said from the doorway, our father threatened to kill him if he ever came back. Both women turned. Elio held a file. His face was stone. I found the rest of the documents. Vincent didn't just pay Daniel off. He threatened his entire family in Detroit. Said if Daniel ever contacted Lucia, if he ever came back, if he ever spoke about what he knew, Elio's voice cracked. Vincent would make sure no one in Detroit survived. Taraji felt the world tilt. No. There's a recorded phone call. Vincent kept everything. Insurance, he called it. Proof that people feared him. He played it on his phone. Vincent's voice, cold and precise. You take the money, Harris. You disappear. You keep your mouth shut. And if I ever see your face again, if I ever hear your name, I'll burn Detroit to the ground, starting with your sister and her daughter. Understand? Then Daniel's voice, broken. I understand. Silence. Lucia was crying now. Real, ugly tears. He didn't abandon me. He saved you, Taraji whispered. He saved all of us. Elio sank into a chair. My father was a monster. Your father's dead, Lucia said. We're not. They sat there on the balcony as morning light hit the harbor. Three people connected by blood and history and the terrible things people do for love. What do we do now? Taraji asked. Elio looked at her. We tell the truth. It'll destroy the company. Good. It deserves to be destroyed. No. Lucia stood up. We rebuild it. Properly. We own what Vincent did. We make it right. How? We find the other families. The ones Vincent hurt. We compensate them. Publicly. She looked at Taraji. Starting with yours. I don't want your money. It's not my money. It's blood money. Your uncle's blood. You have more right to it than anyone. I want the truth public. Deal. Elio smiled. My sister being reasonable. Hell actually froze over. Shut up, Elio. There's the sister I know. The press conference happened on Monday. Elio stood at a podium with Taraji and Lucia behind him, facing cameras and reporters and the entire New York business community. My father, Vincent Marchetti, committed crimes, Elio began. He threatened innocent people. He silenced whistleblowers. He built this company on fear and blood money. Today, we're tearing that legacy down. The crowd erupted. Elio kept talking. About Daniel Harris. About the other victims. About restitution and reform and truth. Taraji watched from the side. Her heart was steady now. Her uncle hadn't been perfect. But he'd been brave. He'd chosen his family's safety over his own happiness. That was love. After the conference, reporters swarmed. Questions everywhere. Ms. Harris, one shouted. How does it feel to work for the family that destroyed yours? It feels, Taraji said carefully, like justice delayed isn't justice denied. It's just late. Will you stay with the company? I will. Someone needs to make sure they keep their promises. What about Elio Marchetti? Your relationship is professional, Elio cut in, stepping beside her. And none of your business. But his hand found hers behind the podium. The reporters noticed. Of course they noticed. The headline the next day, Marchetti Air falls 4 victims' niece, redemption or PR stunt. Taraji laughed when she saw it. Elio didn't. This will complicate things. Things were already complicated. They were in his office overlooking the harbor. Same view. Different world. I don't know how to do this, he admitted. Do what? Be vulnerable. Be honest. He gestured helplessly. Whatever this is. It's called being human. I'm not good at that. You're learning. He smiled. Tired and real. You make it look easy. It's not. I've just had more practice surviving. Teach me. Teach you what? How to be brave. Taraji stepped closer. You held a press conference admitting your father was a criminal. You destroyed your own reputation for the truth. That's not brave. That's justice. Justice requires bravery. They stood there in the office as ships moved in the harbor below. Giants carrying cargo and history and the weight of things people tried to forget. I'm terrified, Elio whispered. Of failing you. Of failing this. Of being my father's son. You're not your father. How do you know? Because you're here. Having this conversation. Being honest. She took his hand. Your father would have buried this. You exposed it. With your help. We're a team. Are we? She kissed him. Quick and soft and certain. Yes, she said. We are. The brownstone felt different now. Lucia still lived there, but the cruelty was gone. Replaced by something quieter. Sadder. More human. She found Taraji in the kitchen one evening making tea. I owe you an apology, Lucia said. You've said that. I know. But I need to say it again. She sat at the counter. I hated you because you looked like him. Like Daniel. You have his eyes. So do you. I know. Lucia smiled, broken and real. Isn't that funny? We're sisters. Sort of. Sort of. Does it bother you? That we share blood? Does it bother you? It did. Now, Lucia shrugged. Now I think maybe it's the only good thing Vincent left behind. Something real. Something human. They drank tea in silence. Outside, the storm was building again. He loved you, Taraji said. Daniel. In his letters home, he always mentioned a daughter in New York. Said she was smart and fierce and going to change the world. Lucia's eyes filled. He said that. Every letter. He never stopped believing in you. Even though he left. Because he left. He thought leaving kept you safe. Was he right? I don't know. But he died believing he did the right thing. How did he die? Taraji pulled out the final document. The one she'd found last. The coroner's report from 2003. Daniel Harris. Heart attack. Alone in a Detroit apartment with $2 million he never touched. He kept the money, Taraji said. Never spent a dollar. I think he was saving it for you. Lucia broke. They sat in the kitchen as the storm hit. Two women connected by a ghost and the choices he made and the love that survived everything. 3 months later, the company was transformed. New leadership. New ethics. New name, Harris Marchetti Holdings. Taraji stood in the boardroom looking at the logo. Her uncle's name first. Her name by marriage soon. The wedding was small. Harborside. Sunset gold on grey water. Elio was nervous. Fidgeting with his tie. Dropping the rings twice. I am not good at this, he whispered as they stood at the altar. Good at what? Being vulnerable in public. Then be vulnerable in private. With me. That's enough. He smiled. You make it sound simple. It is simple. You just love someone and let them love you back. What if I mess it up? Then we fix it together. The ceremony was beautiful. Lucia cried. Taraji's mother cried. Even the tough guy ship captains in attendance looked suspiciously dewy-eyed. When Elio kissed her, it felt like coming home. Afterward, at the reception, Lucia pulled Taraji aside. You know he's impossible, right? Lucia said. Dramatic. Emotional. Attached to furniture. I know. And you're marrying him anyway? I'm marrying him because of it. He's real. So are you. Lucia hugged her. Actually hugged her. Thank you. For coming here. For staying. For making this family something I'm not ashamed of. You did that yourself. We did it together. They stood on the balcony watching the harbor. The same balcony where it all began. Where Lucia had been cruel and Taraji had been invisible. Now they were family. Now they were free. Elio found them there. What are you two plotting? Your demise, Lucia said sweetly. Obviously. Obviously. He wrapped an arm around Taraji. Should I be worried? Always, both women said in unison. They laughed. Below, the ships moved through dark water. Above, the stars came out. And in between, 3 people who'd found something like redemption. That night, alone in their apartment overlooking the harbor, Elio held Taraji close. I am not brave, he whispered. Yes you are. I am not good. You're good enough. I am not. She kissed him quiet. You are mine, she said. And I am yours. That's all that matters. He smiled against her lips. When did you get so wise? My mother raised a fighter. My uncle taught me sacrifice. Your sister taught me forgiveness. And you, she touched his face. You taught me that some empires are worth building. This one. They stood at the window watching the city breathe. The same city where Daniel Harris had made impossible choices. Where Vincent Mocchetti had built terrible things. Where Lucia had survived despite everything. Where Elio had learned to be human. Where Taraji had come looking for money and found family instead. Tell me about Detroit, Elio said. Everything. So she did. She told him about summers on the porch. About winters that froze your breath. About her mother's laugh before cancer stole it. About her uncle's letters that smelled like ink and hope. She told him about hunger and hustle and the way Detroiters survived anything because survival was coded into their DNA. She told him about the girl who dragged a suitcase through Brooklyn rain thinking she was alone. You were never alone, Elio said. Daniel was watching over you. And now, he kissed her forehead. Now you have me. Lucky me. Lucky us. The harbor lights reflected on the water like fallen stars. Somewhere, Daniel Harris was resting easier. Somewhere, Vincent Mocchetti's legacy was crumbling. And here, in this moment, two people who'd found each other in the wreckage were building something new. Something honest. Something real. Something that might actually last. The storm outside had passed. The one inside, too. And in the quiet that followed, Taraji finally understood what her uncle had known all along, that love wasn't about grand gestures or perfect choices. It was about showing up. About staying. About choosing someone even when it hurt. Especially when it hurt. I love you, she whispered. I love you too, Elio said. Even though I'm not good at it. You're perfect at it. Liar. You're liar. Forever. Forever. The promise hung in the air between them like a bridge. Strong. Certain. Built to last. And below them, the harbor kept breathing. The ships kept moving. The city kept living. And somewhere, in the space between past and future, between blood and choice, between hurt and healing, they found home. If this story touched your heart, we want to hear from you. Drop a comment below telling us your favorite moment, hit that like button to help others discover this story, and subscribe so you never miss our next upload. Your support means everything. Thank you for watching until the very end. You're the real MVP.